You know, life is about architecting the future. See, a lot of people are scared to think. That's what I noticed. People get very uncomfortable when I ask them to think. And because they know I will think for them, they ask me to think for them all the time. It's crazy to me. Some of the questions people ask me, I'd be like, just think about it. And then they come up with the answers like, did you just want to talk to me? Like, why wouldn't you just think about it before asking me a question? Some people sometimes think that when you're a boss, telling people to do something means it's going to get done. That's not what a boss's job is to do. A boss's job is to stay in the person's face and make sure they do it. And then once they can do it when you're not around, that's when you give them more responsibility. But the whole key is have a company run when you're not around. If a company can't run without you, you're a terrible boss.
And you're still an employee at that point.
Because then you're working to your slave. You do everybody's job.
Need motivation? Watch the top 10 video with Believe Nation. Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because in my first business, I was making $300 a month. I quit on my business partner, and the thing that saved me was studying the stories of super successful entrepreneurs. So I hope that this story today helps give you the motivation you need, because I still need it too myself. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Dame Dash, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, believe in yourself.
I know you talk about being the boss. Being, having control. But what about the guy or gal that's not meant to be the boss? They can't handle the pressure. They can't handle the stress. Where do they fall in line? How do they not fall in line? Probably bad wording.
Well, first, we got to get them some therapy because it's going to destroy them. Because no one doesn't not want to be the boss. And if you're not the boss, it's just not many people want to fight to be the boss. But who doesn't want to be the boss? You know? So I think a therapist, like, why you don't want to be the boss? Oh, I might be too. Most people think they can't. It's about a flip. It's about knowing you can. So if you don't want to be the boss, then I would say go to another channel and get some help. But who doesn't want to be the boss? It's about the fight. Nothing good happens without some fight. Mm-hmm. You're only great when you're doing something that makes you a little uncomfortable. You got to be a little uncomfortable to grow. To make muscle, you got to lift weights. You got to hurt. It doesn't happen overnight. So I can't even speak in that mentality, and I'm sorry, Grant. I just can't. I can't. I only talk boss. It's the only language I know.
Right.
When people start talking anything else, I'd be like, wah, 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 wah. What is that? You know what I mean?
The language. It's a language you don't understand. So let me ask you. Let's say me and you. Let's say me and you start a business. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like if both of us are bosses, then we don't really have one. Would you agree with that?
100%. The partners are. That's different.
Now we're partners. Okay. So how does somebody that's listening say, hey man, because I'm subordinate in situations.
Me too.
Okay.
In my house, I am not the boss. I've given that away.
Okay.
I'm not the boss.
That, right?
Well, put it like this. 100%. You know, to me, ego sometimes drives people to want to be the boss or be in control. What I've noticed is it really scares people to think things through. And if they have somebody around that'll think for them, they'll definitely let that person do it. And I've been that person for a lot of people, and it's traumatizing to always have to think for people.
For you or for them?
For other people, it's also traumatizing to have to think things through for myself. There's a lot of things I don't want to have to deal with, but I push through the fall.
Right.
I hate having to think things through to see what it looks like, but you got to do it sometimes. You know? But if you have someone that's better at you, or if you're doing a lot, I'm definitely the one that'll delegate. And when I do delegate, the people that I delegate to, I have to give them complete control because they got to do what they got to do. They got to be able to make decisions. You see, a company that can only move by one boss, and when he makes moves and only by one boss's order, is a bad company. I try to train the people that work with me to be able to make my life as easy as possible. They have to be able to do things when I'm not around. But for me, I have to run the cash register first, just so I know if they're doing their job right or wrong. Right. But once I know it, I can't be on the street marketing. I can't be doing all that shit. I'm 51 years old this week. I mean, man. You know what I mean? I can't do the things I was doing.
I hope I look as good as you when I'm 51.
Well, how old are you? How old are you?
64.
I knew you was going to say that.
Yeah.
I know that joke. You don't have a mustache, so you can't tell when you don't have a mustache. But
right.
But I know you make it come out. But again, listen, if that's the future, looking at 60, still feeling, and no one can tell how old you are,
Right.
then that's because the thing about it is what I'm learning is we don't really grow old. Our soul grows old. Our body can grow old, but you can keep rejuvenated. As long as there's things that inspire you, you never get old.
Right.
So I've seen people that are 35 that look 50 something. I'm like, what are you doing? How did you age yourself? What happened?
Rule number 3, find your inspiration.
I'm inspired by a lot of different kinds of things at different times. You know, it's almost insanity how often I'm inspired and how I have to react to everything that inspires me. But I've been lucky enough to monetize things that I love and that I would do creatively for free and make a business of that. I think I'm more known right now to this generation, just what I'm saying and what I've been consistently saying for a long time. And, you know, becoming independent at one time was like a crazy thing. And now that's the thing. And it's, you know, it's like the reaction to people when what I was saying before, you know, how they reacted then into how they react now, it's a completely different thing. Yeah. It's funny how things shift, you know what I mean? But the truth at the end of the day prevailed. And if it's really the truth, the only test of the truth is your patience until it reveals itself and how much confidence you have in that.
Rule number 4, lead by example.
It became really important to me to lead by example and to be strong, to cry in public and fight in public at the same time, because the scumbags come out when you're in your worst. When you're in pain or when that's when they really try to take your block. So I had to come out the next day. And also the way I act is the way the people that look up to me or are influenced by me are going to act. So they'd be like, yo, you folded so I could fold. Nah, I didn't fold. Act accordingly. I can tell you how to act because I've been there. You know what I mean? So you can't ever expect somebody to be strong if you ain't acting strong. You can't have any expectation of anyone doing anything that you are not yourself doing or leading by example to do. That's why when people be like, yo, I'm teaching people how to be rich, I'd be like, are you rich? You know what I'm saying? Like, how you going to be a entrepreneur coach and you got a roommate? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, it doesn't add up.
I say that all the time.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a scary world with that.
You know, so you have to be successful at something. That's why it always worries me in education. It's like these teachers are scared. They don't make their own dreams come true. They have a job. How can they teach anything but that? They're teaching control and fear because that's all they know. How you going to teach a student how to be rich and you just was never rich? How you going to teach them to be strong and fight and you don't? You know? And also language is important. So, you know, everyone actually digests and understand things in different ways just based on where you're from and how you was raised. So you have to make sure when you communicate to someone that they really understand what you're saying. Right. So someone might speak in video games, so I'm going to talk to you in video games. If someone talks in selling drugs, I start to equate things in selling drugs. If you talk in sports, I'm going to equate things in sports.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, empower people.
Being a celebrity, you can leverage attention to whatever you want. And some celebrities leverage attention to things that keep them at status quo, not what helps the bigger picture. So my thing was to use my celebrity to bring attention to people that are actually helping. So I'm part of something called the OSG, which is 200 black principals all over the country. Yes. And, you know, these principals are fighting when they're not getting paid. It's a passion they have, it's a care they have for our future. And, you know, they're our superheroes, but they don't get celebrated. Nobody talks about them. And when I was, you know, introduced to them as a collective, you know, I have issues with education. I feel that it prepares us to get and succumb to a cycle. And I was mad But when I talked to them, I was like, damn, they're just doing what they can do. But if they don't learn how to be fearless, then they can't teach being fearless. If they can't dream, then they can't teach dreaming. You can't teach somebody how to be rich unless you've been rich. So in order to have young people listen to you, because I know when I was young, I only listened to the person that was getting money, getting the girls, and that was fresh. So if I could make a principal as fresh as what's perceived as a drug dealer or a rapper, then these kids will listen to them. They'll look at them as the plug. So I've been talking and teaching a class to them every Tuesday for the last year and a half, just teaching them how to make their dreams come true, how to be entrepreneurs, how to make books, TV shows, know about the NFTs. I gave, Principal Ock, Westside High. This dude has a bank in his school. He has a beauty salon, a grocery store. He teaches these kids how to get money. I gave him a label or distribution. He's now the plug. He has better cars than the drug dealer. He's fresher than the rapper. So the kids will listen to him. So my thing is to shift that and leverage that celebrity for our real superheroes. The ones that are fighting for us when nobody's looking. I never saw black principals. I didn't know they existed. Usually if I did, they didn't have a mustache. So having unapologetic people that are fighting for us, they gotta be empowered.
Rule number 6, figure out your dream.
I teach this class to principals from the OSG. The OSG is 150 predominantly black principals all over the country. And I teach them an entrepreneurial class on Tuesdays. But we have one discussion. And the one thing, the first question I ask is, what's your selfish dream? Selfish one. Because, again, most people, I dream, and everyone that have this and that, but you don't have it. So in order to help someone, you can't hurt yourself to help anybody. To me, that's an oxymoron. So you have to make so much money that you can help all the people that you love. And if you're fighting for love, that should be a lot of people. But at the end of the day, it's about, to me, figuring out what exactly your clear dream is. And, I have a process. I work in dimensions. So my first dimension is the pure dream. And dreams don't cost $1. So why dream cheap? I don't want to dream to survive. I want to dream for the perfect world. So for example, you don't say, oh, I want a yacht, but I'm worried about the gas. You don't worry about the gas in your dream. It's a dream.
I love that, man.
It has to be unobstructed. But it has to be unobstructed. So sometimes you might dream around people and they're like, these are the reasons why you can't do it and blah, blah, blah. So then you start visualizing. So that messes that whole process up. So you have to also keep people around you that can dream, or at least aren't going to obstruct yours. After that, the next dimension is you got to put it on paper, and, that's another dimension. You put it on paper and it's clear. You can write it down in a couple of sentences, and other people that have the same dream can also read, identify with it, and you'll find that, you can come together. And then the next dimension is making it actually happen. And then the last dimension now is in the metaverse and the multiverse. So, it's always important to be one dimension ahead, regardless of whether industry is ready for it or not. It's just good to be savvy at it. So that's how I do things.
Rule number 7, be confident.
I never think I know enough, but I've never been intimidated by any conversation as it relates to business ever. Mm-hmm. I know that when I start a business, I've just started. I don't have experience in it. Yeah. So, and then also the way I usually approach it is usually a little unorthodox. So there's never any traditional way that I'm dealing with something. So I'm always putting myself in a place, let's say, uncomfortable because I'm not used to it. But that's what comes with, starting something the first time. Yeah. The second and third. I've never been intimidated by anyone. I always look forward to the smoke. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just what I want. It's not you try to play me because I'm black. I want you to try that. Exactly. I want you to think smarter than me, and I know I'm so much smarter than you. Right. And probably because snap your nose off your face. You know what I'm saying? So I know, it's like I'm brains and brawn. At least, you know, the brawn is just when I have to be to protect myself. But the brain is what they don't anticipate. Pause.
Right.
They're more scared of the brain than the brawn.
Yeah. When you're in those meetings too, and you felt like you haven't, there's things you could learn. Are you never afraid also to like ask the why questions or get more info?
I always ask the why questions.
Right.
I ask questions all day.
Right. Yeah.
I'm very transparent. I never pretend I'm smarter than I am.
Right.
See, the one thing you have to understand is when you're stupid, you cannot pretend you're smart in a smart room. But when you're smart, you can pretend you're stupid.
Rule number 8, have integrity.
If a nigga don't f with me, you gotta see if he's a good nigga. Because I have very long lasting standing relationships with good people. The good people I still f with.
Right.
See, it's that other people look the other way because they have to stay in that industry. I don't. So once I know you immoral, I don't care how much money you can make me. I'm out. I don't want dirty money. It ain't about money. It's about my integrity. My value is love. That's my currency. That my bank account is how thorough I am. If I have to compromise to get anything, then in the mirror, I'm calling myself a sucker. I've never had to do that. And I can't imagine having to do that. Like, what's the spin on it when you do some sucker shit? You don't never look at the mirror and say, yo, I'm a sucker. And be proud like, yo, I robbed a nigga. I'm a scumbag. Niggas don't say that. They just justify it. They make a good nigga look bad to justify their foul ways. So you tell me one nigga that don't f with me and you see what their business practices are. Name one good nigga that don't f with me.
I feel that.
Name one good nigga that don't f with me. Name one thorough dude that don't f with me, and I'd love to know their reasons. And if they thorough, that means it's not just they thorough with one person. You got to be thorough with everybody. You can't scumbag people that you're scared of or not scared of, and not scumbag people just because you fear them and act like that's thorough.
Rule number 9, control your narrative.
First and foremost, mentality changed. You know, it was the coolest thing in the world at one time to be signed, but then it became very cool to be independent. And also giving a 360 experience became important. So, you know, because of the internet, you have a direct relationship with the artist. So now you want to know not only what they feel about music, you want to know what they feel about fashion, what they feel about art. You have to step up your visuals. They want to know about your taste in a lot of dimensions. And then, of course, there's no more physical sale. Everything is streaming. You know, for me, years ago, I always thought it was logical just to always have an artist just have a subscription service. And you just, you know, have a bunch of people just subscribe to the artist. The Rolling Stones have been doing that for decades. But I just think now, because it's an independent nature, because there's so many different ways to make money, and of course, shifting into Web3 opens up a whole nother door. It's a whole nother piece of land that needs to be colonized, but at this point, we have to make sure we control the narrative, not them, which means we must be literate. So the difference is we are now smarter, and we want to be smarter. Before, it felt like we wanted to be dumber. We wanted to be proud that some white man owned us. We wore it on our sleeve. That's not the cool shit no more. The cool shit is to own your own.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is help others.
I have to be inspired to work. So, you know, if someone inspires me and I see that they have the potential to be great, you know, they've inspired me enough to teach them how to be great independently and how to understand how to leverage your own celebrity and understanding how to do things on your own, how effective that, also understanding what residual income is and how to get that. So it's a double, I've always have to be inspired, but usually what I do is I give the game away. So most people that empower people like a Kanye or a Jay-Z or a Lee Daniels or a Rachel Roy, they don't teach them how to do it because you're no longer needed. You know, I actually teach you how to fire me, how to get rid of me so that you can go make your dreams come true and I could go do my thing because I got dreams. So, you know, being a person that helps other people with dreams, sometimes thankless job. It's definitely selfless because you're investing in someone, you're not investing completely in yourself. So my thing is, let me make you independent. And you've inspired me enough to make sure you know how to keep you and your family rich without me, which you've seen. just by reading the Forbes. And then I can go and use whatever I learned from helping you to help me, because I got dreams and I got a family. And I learned that really investing in myself is really important, to be fearless about what I believe in and my point of view. And having good taste is everything.
I did the record label thing years ago, so I couldn't go back. It'd be like, pitching nickels to me just because I did it before. No disrespect to the company or to the music industry, because there's a lot of bread there. It's just I did it. So, the expectation in myself is to do something that, fits the levels that I should be at. And what I noticed was, number one, we were outsourcing so much shooting music videos, and we making the clothes. And, I like to make movies. It just made sense for me to have my own television network. And, when the internet hit, because I'm always looking for independence, I was like, oh, shit, I could do it. And I didn't feel the need to outsource. Like, I always feel like a Johnny if I'm paying somebody to do something I know I could do myself. Like, I always feel like the plug. I could grow that. I ain't buying it from you. I'll grow it and sell it to you. That's my approach on things. So I also feel that I'm also really good at making films. So because I can make films, make movies, I understand the game. I really ran the cash register there. And because I have a business mind, I'm going to invest in that.
Have you ever watched a James Bond movie where it doesn't look like he's losing at some point and then he wins? Or Batman or Iron Man or any superhero? There has to be some diversity for you to, overcome to win. You can't be a champ unless you, are in a place where you look like you're going to lose and then you win. The pain that's going to come with being independent, you have to embrace it, because it's going to happen. And also know that the more successful you get, the more problems you're going to have, the more knots you're going to have to untie. Being a boss does not mean smooth sailing. It means having the ability to care about other people before yourself and to untie problems, untie knots. That's all it is. It's not business if there's not problems. There's nothing good without struggle. It just doesn't happen. In all my experiences, there hasn't been one thing that's been successful without me feeling some pain before it was successful. So now when there is pain, I embrace it. I've been embracing it. I'm a G about it, because I know that must mean that if I'm cool, that, what awaits me is like the darkest before the dawn. I don't want to sound corny, but that's really that's what has to happen.
I'm not that dude that says, if you do this, this will happen, and then it doesn't happen. You're just sitting around waiting. You do the right thing. In my world, you do the right thing. Like, if his dream was literally to sit and play his album for Kanye, I watched his dream come true.
Which it was.
And it happened in a week only because he did the right thing.
Right.
If his dream, like he said, his dream is to sit here and do anything, that happened because he listened. Respect will make your dreams come true. And respect is not convenient. It's not when it feels good. It's when it makes you uncomfortable. When, someone feels like, damn, I don't agree with him, but because I respect him, I'm going to do what he says anyway. That's respect. And I'm not going to say a word about it.
I decided to hit the street because I just wanted to buy a Suzuki. They cost $10,000 and I didn't have a license, and my mother didn't want to buy it for me because it wasn't legal. So I was like, well, I'm just going to get that myself. And, crack came out. So I was watching a lot of people my age have things that adults had, which gave them a certain amount of independence. Like, if you're paying your own bills, I don't care how old you are, no one can tell you what to do, period. And that's what I tell any one of my children. The minute you pay your own bills, all I can do is give you advice, but I can't control your environment. So when I got to this place, the only way to survive was honor. And what I witnessed, I admired. I admired the strength in honor, because honor isn't convenient. It's not, I'm honorable when it's easy. Honor comes when it's not easy. That's your definition. That's the test. That's what defines you, is when you have the choice to not be honorable, and it would appear that you'll get something and life may be easier. And if you choose honor and you choose a harder path, well, you know which you really are. And that's what that is all day. It's a test all day. There's always these shortcuts. But the thing about being in that life is you make one mistake, you die. You make one mistake, you lose your life in jail, your freedom. You make one mistake, people you love get hurt, like kidnapped and tortured. So logically speaking, to survive that, you had to be honorable. And I saw the things that the honor, the respect that came with it, the strength that came with it, and how cool it looked. I just didn't want to be anything but that, no matter what. And everyone that's practiced that, my friends 20, 30 years later, like in Honor Up, that's really my OG. That's really the guy that taught me those principles. That's the voice I heard it from. And imagine 30 years later, him being able to say, I told you, be honorable and you'll get this. And it happened for him, it happened for me, and all the other people that have lived honorably. So there's truth in believing in honor, and I can say it by experience. And I also can see the lack of honor, the things that I came up on that are so different, that how much people look the other way, how many people actually fail that test, and the recourse of that. The unhappy life that comes with the perception of being happy, of looking like you have more than you do, or that you're smarter, tougher, richer, funnier, or anything that you pretend you are and you're not. Because it tortures that person. They all look for an escape, whether it's a drug or any kind of addiction, to just not face and look in the mirror. To not to be able to look at yourself in the mirror or take that shower, that must suck, but I don't know how that feels. I know how it feels to have no conscience, to look in the mirror, be alone, and be like, I'm real happy about every single decision I made. My purpose was to let everybody else eat that wasn't eating, that deserved to, and to bully the bully, oppress the oppressor, and always give us self-awareness. Not one second that I was in the music industry did I ever act like I wanted to be with the people that were exploiting the artists.
Right.
The problem always was with the executives was I was like, nah, you're not doing that to the artists. And then, you know, what an executive will do is play dirty and snarky and go start lying and do things that you wouldn't do or expect to do, and they just start to make a division between you and the person you're protecting by saying you'll get more money by not listening to them, when actually that money goes to them.
Some people try to dumb you down as a distraction just to because they just don't want to. They don't want to work. People are so scared of thinking and so scared of action. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm about. I'm about thinking things through and action. They don't have the wherewithal to see their ideas into fruition and to be tangible and to be real. They don't think that getting to where they want to go is going to be difficult.
How difficult is it really?
Game.
It's huge.
It's boxing. It's getting punched in the face to win.
Yeah.
That's what it is. To practice, you hitting that bag, but you getting hit, like you got to spar to get where you got to go. So you're going to feel broke. You're going to have to feel anxiety. And if that doesn't make you feel comfortable, then it's going to be hard to be an entrepreneur. But you got to know when you get in the game that you're going to get tackled. You got to get up. You got to work wounded. You got to stay positive, and you got to care about your other people sometimes, most of the times, before you care about yourself.
What are some key elements of your honor code that, one, are just absolutely central to it, and that, two, if you could pass to the culture in an instant, what would you pass?
I mean, if you have an agreement with somebody, if me and you have an agreement, I don't care what the rest of the world looks at as bad or good, we have to honor our agreement, period. So honor means that when you agree and you guys have, as men or a professional, an adult, your word got to mean more than anything. You know, if you say you're going to do something, you got to do it. And that's what the street kind of was. You know, it was like, even though the rest of the world doesn't believe in certain things that were going on, there was this code, you know, no snitching, you know, no messing with your homies' girls, no serving anyone pregnant, you know, just things that were laws that were unwritten, you know. But there was honor. Honor means more than anything, bro, and it protects you no matter what. And I could just say that based on my experience. There ain't no street shit. That's just some real shit. The street might have, like, I'm a guy that maybe I need to see some up shit to learn honor. And maybe that's the reason why I was put in that situation, because once I learned honor, I'd be able to affect the rest of the world. Like, you never know why things happen. But that's about perspective, right?
I think the truth is most important, and I think it's inexcusable not to tell it. And I think if there's something on your mind on a truthful level as a grown-up, you should be able to articulate that. And sometimes people don't like what you say, but it doesn't mean it shouldn't be said.
Right.
So, 9 times out of 10, a man that's full of testosterone, and in front of girls, if you're telling them how to improve himself or give him some instructive criticism, they tend to take that as you trying to make them look bad because they want to look better than you. I always remember back to when I was young laughing at older niggas. I'm never going to be that older nigga I was laughing at. I'm never going to be that old man in the club. I'm never going to be the dude that, just because that one time I wore that outfit, everyone thought I was fly, I'm going to wear it for the next 30 years. Like, I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to evolve. I'm going to grow. So it's not reinventing. It's y'all learning what I learn as I learn it. I'm growing. Once I learned this business was whack, I did another one, and I said, I'm going to go do art. My midlife crisis was running around the world, opening up art galleries. I like to do fly, cool shit. Like, I bank on cool shit. I just like to do cool shit, so I just think I got to be smart about it. Like, I got to be the plug. I got to be the connect. So once I know how to do it myself, I could be real arrogant about it. And then I do it. And then when I win, it's like when everyone thinks you're losing and you win, it's so much better. Like when my was making me the underdog, I was cracking up. I was like, this is funny as hell. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I can be patient. I think I'm gonna do it by the pool. You know what I'm saying? Like I come out when I feel like it. You know, it's never been urgent. I've never found my Batman or the Joker. I haven't found my competition yet that inspires me to fight. I just feel like impressing my girl and my family and me. I don't even feel no competition. I really don't. A bunch of unthorough people, 1 million unthorough people can't do nothing to one thorough person. I don't care what it look like. I'm here. And I look better than everybody else that been talking about. I'm doing better than everybody else that been talking about me. And I've been fighting on my own. It ain't no announcements. I give you that work. I don't even have to be liked and I'm still here. Or it might be look like I'm not liked, but they still buying it. See, in the street, you don't like the drug dealer. You like his drugs. You don't care if he's nice. You don't care. He doesn't promote his drugs. He's not saying thank you for buying. He says, get in line. I'm not taking 5s, only 20s. And if you talk too cute to me, I won't sell it to you. Now get out of here. You don't have to be nice when your work is good. You just have to be honorable and respectful. And the people I'm not nice to deserve it.
What's your theory behind having multiple different avenues working at the same time?
Okay, imagine this. Imagine your #1 artist after his first album saying, I quit. That's Jay-Z.
Jay-Z quit after, what do you mean?
He retired after Reasonable Doubt.
It's supposed to be his first and last album.
Did he?
Yeah, it's supposed to be his first and last.
15 albums later, yeah. So, you know, from that day, I was like, well, I ain't depending on this nigga.
I'm gonna build a roster.
What?
Well, how long did he retire though? Like a month? He had
I don't know,
Volume 1.
He didn't retire.
Big pass. He just passed it in Volume 1.
Nigga, how many retirements did this nigga do?
A lot.
All right, so you know, I lost count of how many times he retired.
So that
and I don't even care.
That pushed you to just diversify.
Yeah, I was like 19.
Damn, y'all was that young?
It wasn't only that. It was just that I was a guy that just thought I could do everything better. So it was like, I'm fresher than Ralph Lauren. I know it. I met this nigga. I'm fresher than him. I know I am. I know I'm cooler than Harvey Weinstein. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I done shook this nigga down. You know what I'm saying? Like
he's not the only one.
It's my little man. You know? I see what Charlie, you know, all these dudes, Charlie Watts, Leo Cohen's, I'm like, this nigga? You know what I'm saying? Y'all scared of him? It's my little man. Look at me and use me as an example. Like you've seen that people have tried every way they can to discredit everything about me, from my pocket to my girls to everything. You know what I'm saying? To my family, like everything. And you see that when I'm actually doing things that are good, people try to say I'm doing things that are bad. But at the end of the day, I haven't had to come outside.
Right.
I haven't had to come out of pocket and do something that was kind of like, you know, against what my morals and my principles are. I've been able to maintain being my own boss, sustain a certain kind of lifestyle, and all because my work is good. So if your work is good and you're honorable, it doesn't matter what's going on around you. You got to keep your head down and move forward, because all the negativity is all a test to see if it will distract you.
Right.
But like, again, if you know it's raining outside and somebody tells you it's not, you're like, yo, I don't care what you say. I'm bringing the umbrella.
Right.
I don't care what you say. You could call me a clown, all that other stuff. I already know, because I have this thing where I look to my future. And I don't look to see, like, you know, how it starts. I want to know how it's going to finish.
Right.
So I'm always doing that.
Right.
And I always see what I want my life to be, and I make sure it's that.
Right.
And then I architect that. And then it'd be people that have no plan, that aren't doing anything, are the most distracting.
Right.
They're the ones that speak the loudest, because if you're doing something, you don't have time to be worried about somebody else.
Right.
You don't have time for jealousy if you're doing something. You're too tired doing what you're doing.
Right.
So if you're sitting around thinking, that means you should be doing some action.
Right.
So that's your fault. So then the overcompensation comes for blaming somebody else for the reasons why you don't want to move.
What do you do, like, just to relax? I mean, you're always running. What do you do to, like, just, other than the kids, just, is there something, you meditate?
I smoke weed. I lay by the pool a lot.
Good.
Like, you know, this is cool. Like, I wasn't here all day. You know what I'm saying? I came in when I felt like it. I went and got my daughter, came back, went back. You know, I was
just living life.
Just living life, but I'm doing it on my terms.
Right.
You know, I'm doing it like I'm productive, but I'm not tired, because when you doing what you love, like everything I'm doing, I would do for free. Like, I'm lucky enough that I can monetize what people do for recreation. You know what I'm saying? So how could I ever complain and be tired? I'm having way too much fun to be tired.
On one hand, yeah, my mom's died, it broke my heart. But on the other hand, it made me great. It's about perspective, what I learned from it, how I choose to look at it. You know, like sometimes I'll talk to somebody and, you know, they'll be abusive and shit, or they'll be drinking and I'll be like, you know, why the f you do all that drinking? Why are you so abusive? Oh, my dad was drinking, he was abusive, that's all I know. Then you ask somebody else and they're like a straight square, they don't drink and they're not abusive, and you be like, yo, how come you don't drink? How come you're not abusive? Yo, I saw my dad. It's just about perspective. And then that's how I look at things with my pops. I was like, I know I'm a good dad because everything he did I didn't like, I ain't doing to my kid. I'm not gonna pass the cycle. But you know, some people might look at it and say, I'm just gonna pass the cycle because he passed it to me. Perspective.
I would love to know what your outlook is when you, in your past, have had a setback. How do you
I've never had a setback but death.
Okay.
That's the only setback is health and death and jail. Other than that, those are just life tests.
So like,
what's a setback?
Like if a friend comes to you and they feel like they failed at something, what would you tell them to change that perspective of the word failure?
Turn a loss into a learning experience. Do it again until you get it right, period. You never did anything right the first time. Practice makes perfect. It's just like you ain't gonna make a muscle the first time you pick up a barbell. You gotta do that shit and do it for a while. Then your blood pumps and then you strong. Go get strong, pull your skirt up. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna be nice about it. I'm sick of that shit. Everybody's depressed because they're trying to fit into a puzzle. They're trying to be a circle in a square. And you're told what to do and you're told what to eat and you're told what's good and bad and what the perspective of success is. Success is love. Success is your family. Success is how much you laugh. I don't care how much money you got in the bank. If you got a crooked smile, if your people around you don't want to be around, your breath stinks and all that other shit, you're broke, period.
Right.
You're broke. If you have nothing to fight for, you're broke. You have nothing to love, you broke, period.
I just don't see the reason for being mad about making mistakes. Like, I don't know, man. I think I got yelled at one time when I was 4 and I felt embarrassed and I didn't like that feeling. So I did what the guy did with the cold. I figured out how to never be embarrassed. You know what I'm saying?
Teach me how.
You just don't give a f. Once you don't give a f what people think, like logically speaking, why would you care about what someone's opinion is that you don't love, that doesn't love you, that's not even playing the same game you're playing? That's only, you know, the only reason why they have something to say is because they're insecure. Like, I don't see why I would be concerned about some insecure asshole. Like, I think 1 million lames combined cannot equal one cool person. And meaning someone that's just honest about who they are. Like, it's not relatable, it's not realistic to think that anyone is perfect and anyone that is evil, because it's just not true. You know what I'm saying? And the good thing about imperfections is what makes you cool is how you deal with them. That's what makes you cool. You know what I'm saying? So I've never been afraid to be wrong.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.